once we really honed in on what we feel like God called us to do specifically, we have seen a massive growth and way more peace as well. Instead of running the clock, working and trying and throwing spaghetti out the wall and doing all the things, we're doing one thing, we're trying to do it really well, and we're doing it in a specific schedule that allows us to be mompreneurs.
Mompreneurs. It's not business, baby. It's business and babies. Whether you're rocking the carpool line, building your business during nap time, or dreaming big after bedtime, we've got the tools, tips, and strategies to help you grow your business. Grab a snack, your headphones, and enjoy this time with us, because mom life and boss life deserve balance.
Shana and Vanessa are best friends and master financial coaches who help women who make good money or have nothing to show for it finally take ownership of their finances with a budget system that fits their real life and their big dreams. Shana and Vanessa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us. We're excited to be here to talk about the B word.
We are. We really are.
Okay, so listeners can get used to your voices. Who is Vanessa? And Vanessa, tell us about you and how you met Shana.
So yes, I'm Vanessa. We were working out together at the YMCA. Our boys were 4 and they are now 17.
Yes, we were, and I'm Shana, by the way. And so we were working out together. We ended up immediately starting going to church together and just pretty much doing life together. And then, later on, we were teaching a class that maybe your listeners have heard of before called Financial Peace University. And we realized there was a real big gap because the class kind of expected everybody already to know how to budget, and nobody did. Class after class, it was where it kind of fell apart, the whole thing. And so that's where we kind of decided to come together and start doing business together.
Yeah, when we realized that was kind of a missing concept of the entire class, again, they spoke about it. They talked about building your budget, and you should have this in your budget. You should budget, but then but nobody actually knew how to build one. And so we really formed together a system so it wasn't just words and numbers on paper that you can call a budget. We wanted to create an entire budget system that followed how you handle your money throughout the month. So that way it allows you to be successful and it puts your money into action. So that way you don't have to live on beans or rice, and you can also go on vacation and pay off debt. You can save for Christmas and pay off debt. So we just realized that our clients did not want to live on this scarcity mindset, which sometimes when people hear the word budget, they think that it's tied to restriction, that it's tied to the word no, and you can't do this and you can't do that. But we really found a way to make this budget thing fun. And our little tagline is that we want you to be bougie on a budget.
I like that. I've been called bougie.
We have to.
We all have our own version of what bougie means to us. Yeah.
Right. Yes, I love it. I love that you guys are best friends in business. So how did you mix being best friends and business partners, and how did that come about? Because that's hard, right?
Yeah, so I'm the only daughter in my family. I have an older brother, so I didn't have a sister, and Shana is an only child. So coming together to form this sister bond was, and we're both very strong. We have very strong personalities. We're both very much type A. But you know what? There is nobody on earth that I would rather be in business with than Shana. Our work ethic is a match, what we believe in, our goals, our integrity, all of it is in line. And we have so much fun together. We've learned a lot. We've had tips, we've grown from them, but all of it comes from a loving place. And, you can listen to a lot of people, they'll say, don't ever go into business with family or friends. And we understand where that can be hard, but we truly are doing this. We have a whole God story. We can literally write a book on our God story as to why we're here together and how He brought us together. And so we just know that this is exactly where we're supposed to be.
Yeah. And I think we are both financially wired and we both nerd out. In my marriage over here, we fight over who gets to do the budget, so we have to make each other both allowed to do it. But we also would fight over who gets to do the budget if we could. So we both just love that. And then, and we also were just born to be entrepreneurs. So it just, when we started being financial coaches, and I think this is great for the story, we were certified through Dave Ramsey, right? And that program put us against each other. It pitted us against each other to get quote unquote leads for coaching clients. And we were like, absolutely not. We are not into that. We don't want to do that. We want to do this together. And that kind of, we were already planning to do it together, but sort of like that sort of accelerated it as well. And so, so then we decided to do it together. We started our business on April Fool's Day. So April 1st, 2020, right smack dab in the middle of the pandemic. Is a great time to start a business. We totally recommend it. But yeah, so then we've had our ups and downs since then, as far as like figuring out how, to be a mompreneur, how to monetize this, what our skills are. And we've had, like I said, we've had our ups and downs, but we definitely, once we really honed in on what we feel like God called us to do specifically, we have seen a massive growth and way more peace as well. Instead of running the clock, working and trying and throwing spaghetti out the wall and doing all the things, we're doing one thing, we're trying to do it really well, and we're doing it in a specific schedule that allows us to be mompreneurs.
And, I'm going to add on to that really quick and say that as, your listeners are all mompreneurs trying to monetize their business. You hear a lot of coaches tell you, do one thing, choose one thing, pick one thing. And we were like, but there's two of us.
You don't know.
Like, there's two of us. So obviously that means we could do more.
We're different.
Yes, we could do it. So we tried to do a lot of things, and God definitely slammed doors in our face, as he should have. I mean, it was very justified. But it took that for us to go, oh, we should only do one thing. And this was really what brought us together, was the financial coaching. And once we aligned what we were supposed to be doing with what our business should be doing, like, it just all came together quite nicely. And, we're in a season of life right now where our kids and their sports kind of run our life, which is fine. We love being super present in what's happening because we know we're never going to get this time back. But we also have designed our business to work around our family. So where, we start and stop like when they're in school. So we're working school hours. We are working, when they're in practice, but during games, during travel sports times, during all that, we are able to be fully present, because during that 9 to 2:30, during that 9 to 3, we are full force, right? We are very focused. We're very hard workers. And we just found a way to make it both work, but also not be super stressed.
Amen. I love what you were talking about number one, you're right. Nobody really knows how to do a budget. I think what's powerful is that you guys are coming together and teaching about that. And then that one thing, right? It makes sense, right? At first we're like, I want to do all the things. And then as we get our feet wet in business, and we notice if we're really good at one thing, that's where the magic happens, usually. Yeah. And it's what I found out too, because I was also all over the place. And I'm like, wait. Let me focus on one thing. And that's where we are at Bundles and Virtual Summits. So that's my one thing, because I tied all of my skills, my expertise into kind of like, what's the quickest way I can get people to have the quickest results? That was my focus. How did you guys knew that what your one thing was, right? And what is it? Because is it budgeting? Is it financial coaching? Like, how did you guys come together on that?
I think we just looked at the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, for a business perspective, when we started, we had a bunch of different coaching, not just financial, right? So all kinds of different coaching. And we thought that was one business, and it wasn't. It was several.
5 different businesses.
But then as far as financial coaching, again, we were trained, and we both did Dave Ramsey's steps, which is what made us want to get trained through him, and get debt free and all that. And we love him, and we loved it. But as we started coaching it, we realized this is a cookie cutter system that doesn't necessarily fit everybody. And some people are looking for a different way to go about it. And so we started to learn, okay, like first we realized it's not just financial coaching, it's budget specific, literally teaching people how to budget and helping them and guiding them along the way as they get started. But then a different way to budget. Like Vanessa said earlier, people don't want to live on beans and rice. They want to be bougie on a budget, right? They want to be able to have their pumpkin spice lattes, and they want to be able to pay off debt at the same time. And we agree with that. We also want that. And the other thing our clients, we found out, is like, they don't want to use cash necessarily. They would rather be able to use the digital versions of all the tools that we have. So kind of as we coach, the more we coach, the more we listen to our clients, the more we listen to people, we realize this is really the carved out niche of this market that we want to address and we want to be able to help.
Well, and I think that that's a good question as far as what is a financial coach and, specifically what do we do? Because and I didn't actually know when we first became financial coaches, there are so many different types of coaches. Some of them are literally just about mindset. Some of them are emotional financial coaches. There's a lot of different ways that you could get help if you need it. But when we found out our system, we had an entire budget system that ironically, I was doing individually by myself before her and I got together and started talking about finances. And she was doing the exact same thing on her end. And when we came together and started talking about it, we're like, oh, we have something here. And when we introduced it to our clients, it was something that they really enjoyed, being able to see their money all organized, laid out for them on one budget on one page. And it just gave them a lot of clarity and like a sense of, oh, this can work for me and I don't have to feel so restricted all the time. Because we just, we say bougie on a budget, that means something different for everyone, whether it means travel vacations for you or it's doing all the sports for your kids, or it means, and do college tours, whatever, or it's facials. And
That's just our life.
Yeah. Everybody has their own version of what bougie means. And that's exciting. We want that, but your budget should match that. So we are so proud to say that none of our clients' budgets are the same, not one. And we don't think that they should be, because everybody has their certain goals, certain lifestyles, certain things that they want to be in their budget that's important to them. And we want to make sure that we honor all that.
Amen. Amen. I think that is something very impactful that you guys are doing, especially when you're taking aside from the cookie cut. Because my husband and I, we did do Financial Peace University. Like, we sat down because that was kind of like the bulk of our argument. Right?
Mhm.
I'm sure you get that a lot from your
Yeah.
clients, right? Because in relationship, money is a big thing, right? You see a lot of stuff, right? There's a spender and then there's a saver. Have you ever met two spenders?
Yes.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun time to
It's a
navigate.
misnomer that there's one of each in relationships. No. Although we haven't as often seen two savers. That doesn't.
I was just thinking the exact same thing. That doesn't usually happen. It's usually they're both spenders or it's one of each.
Wow. Yeah. I think we're kind of like both spenders after some time. I mean, I'm more of a saver than he is.
Yeah.
Because I'm the budget one. I'm the one that makes the budget and stuff like that. So I am the one like, this is what we need to do. And this is where we need to hustle, right? We need to pay off this thing like ASAP. But, do you guys still believe like in the snowballing effect, right? When you pay the lowest debt and then you just continually, because I do believe in using credit cards. Like, I get it. Dave Ramsey doesn't like credit cards, like everything, no credit cards. But we're like, we can just use our credit card for vacations and then pay it off as we go. What do you guys feel about credit cards? Since, I got you guys here.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we actually did start to figure out that we kind of had some different views than Dave when it comes to all this stuff. And as far as your first question is paying off debt, it's not cookie cutter. So debt snowball works, probably 75% of situations. It's a great option. In other situations, there's a debt avalanche. There's paying off the one that has the highest minimum instead. And there's just different situations, and it really depends on your budget. So I think that's one of the main reasons people come to us they kind of bounce from Dave Ramsey because they feel paralyzed. They're like, this, I don't know that this fits me and I don't know what else to do.
Mm-hmm.
But then we're not going to tell you not to have credit cards. We're not going to go down. We're not going to yell at you about debt. What we want to say is do not rely on credit cards. Like, you make too much money to rely on credit cards. So that's kind of our big deal. Yeah.
I mean, we can have a whole conversation on credit card points and all that, but where we really try to stay focused on, like Shana said, is we want you to be able to go through the month and not feeling like you are relying on credit cards to buy gas and groceries, because, and it's really not necessarily that they can't afford it. The reality is that they don't know what's happening with their money because it's so unorganized. Mm-hmm. So, one of the things we like to say is that you make too much money to rely on debt.
Or to be in that much debt that you're in, usually. Yeah. Yeah. And like Vanessa was saying, the credit card, what people are doing when they're just paying for whatever on a credit card, maybe not what you're doing necessarily, but is they're using the credit card balance as a budget. And that's not a budget. right? And so we want you to know your money. We want you to be, like you were talking about, be on the same page with your spouse, know what our money's doing, know what we want our money to do. And then the system that we teach is going to help you be your own bank. So instead of necessarily relying on a credit card for a vacation, we're going to rely on our own savings account that we did, and we're going to borrow money from ourselves, right? We're going to be our own bank.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if you had more money in the bank than your credit card limit. So at that point, your credit card becomes obsolete.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point. And again, we can talk about how you make more money in interest if you have a high yield savings account and 4 and 5% interest versus this measly 1, 2, 3% cash back that you may get on a credit card. There's a lot to it, but our main focus is we don't want you to have to rely on it because you don't know what's going on with your money.
Yeah, I like that. So my husband, like maxed out one of the credit cards. I made him put me on it. I was like, you know what? Just put me on it. I want to see what's going on and stuff like that. And so we're working towards that because I had to look at everything. I'm like, how much? And he maxed it out, but it was because he was using it for like house things. We weren't on the same page until recently. And so he was like, we can use the credit card, Linda. We can do it for trips and then pay it off later. But I didn't have any major credit cards. The only one I have is like for Kohl's, but I've had that for a long time.
Yeah.
And because of that card, it has actually like helped my credit a bit in the beginning. And it helped us like kind of like get approved for a house and all this other stuff just because of how the payments were. But now I don't use it at all because it's actually better not to use it because you actually spend more on a credit card than
you do.
You just spend cash.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like wondering about that because I'm like, it sounds juicy. Like, yeah, if we pay off the credit card, then we can just drop that. It sounds juicy, but I don't think it's juicy.
Yeah,
I don't want to bite on that,
Yeah. Well, and what we want you to do, and this is after everything gets set up. So imagine having a budget where you've got your income laid out, you have your minimum debt payments laid out, you have all of your bills, you have your spending, which is gas, groceries, Chick-fil-A runs, all that date night stuff. And then you have your savings, and your savings are broken down into different buckets. One of them is home maintenance or home repair. The other one is vehicle. The other one's travel. The other one's medical. The other one's Christmas, birthdays, gifts, right? So instead of having to use a credit card, you have funded these savings accounts. One of them is home, where you are putting a certain amount of money a month away. So that way you can fund all these home projects that you have to do.
Yeah. And I think that, besides the 5-column budget system that Vanessa outlined, that's kind of our trademark deal. It's different than any other budget you're going to find. The other thing that we really, try to get people to understand, and one reason they're relying on credit cards is because when they try to make a budget and they're just thinking monthly, but there are so many expenses that come at you annually or maybe twice a year. And those are usually the ones that are quote unquote unexpected, but they derail your budget. But really, you're going to need new air filters. Like really, you're going to need an oil change. Christmas is coming. Like, that. It's just I haven't had time to really think about it. So we want you to think about those annual expenses and break them down to put them in your monthly budget so that it stops being derailed, so that you stop having to use a credit card for something that's kind of mundane, right? That's what we mean. Like, you make good money. You don't need to use the credit cards. It's just a lack of organization. And actually, that's what we tell people all the time is people think they have a spending problem. People think they're bad with money. Nope. It's just an organization. If we can just teach you how to organize your money, your bank accounts, everything will be really simple, and you'll find that it's really easy to manage.
Yeah. I mean, imagine looking at like taking a bird's eye view of your finances and not just saying, well, what do I cost in a month? Well, that's easy. Bills, gas, and groceries. Like people can do that, but it's everything else that comes into play. Like the fall festival, right? Christmas, your uncle's birthday, just all the things that pop up that we forget about. Y'all, Christmas is December 25th every year.
Every year.
Doesn't change. Your child's birthday, the same every year, right? I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
So we want to put those in the budget and go, okay, well, if this is what I cost in a year, how do I break that down and put it in my monthly budget so that when those things pop up, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, I'm prepared and I have the cash. And a lot of people will say, well, I can't afford that. Well, the reason why you can't afford it is probably because you have a massive credit card debt payment and you're paying for your past, because all of that you put on your credit card were all of these unexpected expenses that popped up that you did not save for. So we want to just help you get prepared, so that way when you're making your monthly budget, it's not just this, like the small essentials, it's the full big picture.
The full big picture, we lose track of that. You guys know your audience, I would say, because so I was like, man, that's me. Yes, our tires, when the tires need to be replaced, that's a surprise. You know, Christmas always gets us in a shock, like, oh my goodness, Christmas, what are we gonna do now?
Yeah.
And then, you know, we want to get those decorations, new decorations, have that stash, break out the stash, get, you know, all of that. So you guys are on point with that.
I was just going to say that people think that if they have one big fat emergency fund, it's going to cover everything, right? And so they'll just, well, I'll just pull from my emergency fund. Yeah, but Christmas is an emergency. So you actually would need a smaller emergency fund if you had all these other funds or savings buckets to save for the things that will happen.
Are not an emergency.
Yeah, they're not an Christmas is not an emergency. Your child's birthday is not. Tires that you knew you needed but you held off is not an emergency, right? In that moment, if you don't have the cash, then obviously we're going to pull from it. But what we're saying is, like, if you know in 2 years you need tires, let's start putting that in the budget so that way you have the cash.
Yeah. And that way it's like $40 a month, not $2,000 this month that you need for tires or whatever. So, you know, and that's the thing, Linda. A lot of people are trying that's what we're saying. A lot of people are trying to budget, but it feels overwhelming. It feels kind of a lot. It feels like a lot. But that's why we created our simplified budget system. It's just 5 simple columns. It's really pretty. It's really simple. It's really easy. And it actually matches what you do with your money, because we found, like, when we tried to find out, we tried to use someone else's budget for our clients, and we had to make our own, because we kept finding it would say like fixed and variable expenses and wants and needs and all that. And none of that helps you know what to do with your hands, with your budget, right? Our budget, like when you spend money, it's going in the spending column because you spent the money. When you're trying to save money for something, it's going in the savings column because that's what you're saving and you're setting aside, right? If it's a bill, it's a bill. Makes it very simple. And then the next level, once we get that figured out, is those annual expenses. So that it doesn't have to feel overwhelming. It's one step at a time. And then I can really feel like I have a full picture, because, you know, nobody's going to get it perfect. You may remember tires, but forget the oil changes or whatever. But if you have some money set aside, like that's such a better feeling, like knowing that I'm like 95% prepared than having all of it like in your head and hoping, like, and just wrecking balls, like, you know, so we just want you to get it out on paper, and then we will help you make it simple and automatic.
Well, and you know, you attract who you are. So majority of our clients are entrepreneurs. And so we use our same system for business owners, because you can't do one without the other.
No.
You can't have a successful business running properly with their finances but your personal budget's a mess. Or you can't have great personal finances, but your business finances are a mess. Like it's one or the, if one is messed up, they both are usually. So, and it's really important to learn how your business finances funnels into your personal properly. And so we really make sure that we help our clients do that with our system as well.
Yeah, because we don't want your money to have to feel like a roller coaster. And if your personal budget feels like a roller coaster, like sometimes I feel like I have money, sometimes I feel like I have none, and then back and forth, up and down. And then usually the entrepreneur has the same problem, right? Because they have, maybe it's irregular income and it's not, you know, it's coming and going and ebbing and flowing. But all of that can be made to feel very steady, very consistent. So it doesn't have to feel like feast or famine.
I think you guys are doing God's work.
You know what's so funny about that? We have so many people that say to us, I prayed for a podcast and I found you guys. And we're like, it's really sweet. And we're so thankful that they have found our podcast, because we have so many free resources on it to be able to help people just get started.
Yeah. Speaking about you guys' podcast, you guys hit 1 million plays. What? Like, okay, big ups. What do you think has helped you build such an engaged community around your message?
I'm so glad you asked that, because as Vanessa was saying that, we have to say it's all God. Like, I don't want to say we're doing God's work because that feels weird, but I do feel like we're trying to do it God's way. Like we're trying to let God work through us, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I would say I think we're being servants to our skills and the gifts that God gave us. So,
yeah. And through that, this is what it's like no matter which way you get us. If you're on a podcast, if we're on someone else's podcast, if we're in person, like we've tried to be as relatable as possible to take the shame, because there's the B word, we call it the B word, budget. There's a lot of shame and heaviness around money, and we really wanted to not do that. We've read the parables about money in the Bible, and that's not how it needs to be. We want to be really clear that money is a tool, and we know it's stressing you out, and we don't want that for you. So we're going to make it as simple as possible, try to make it fun, try to be, light about it, and but also make it so it can just be a tool. So if we can get you on our system and get it organized and automated, then you can just live your life and use all your brain calories for your kids, your business, all of that. You don't need money like stressing or keeping you anxious. We don't want that. So I would say, like, hopefully the 1 million podcast has come from us just continuing to seek that same story over and over, and hopefully each person that comes, that we can tailor it to them, and all these stories that we have, because we have clients that we get to just tell their stories, and it helps other people, because like you said, we're all in the same boat. Nothing that we're saying is a shock to any of you, because we've all been there, we've all done it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that there are people that funnel through, right? So they come in. And it's just like our coaching program. Like, we don't want you to stay forever. We want to get in, get out, so you can like go on and live your life. And I think that that's what happens with our podcast is people come in, they get the information that they need. We give a lot of stuff away for free, and then they're able to be successful, and they move on to other podcasts, right? So maybe like they needed our information to be able to get their finances in order so they can start their business. And then now they're listening to a business podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but we're just so thankful for that they have found us, and that it has helped and changed their lives, and then they share it. But yeah, so we track plays, not downloads, and I think we're almost at 1.3 right now, and so it's really exciting. Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. That's amazing. Pretty incredible, I would say. Shoot. I have no idea how to check the metrics on that. I'm just putting 1 foot in front of the other.
Yes. Well, and that's
all that matters.
we didn't do it either for a long time. So
we're only doing it because our coach told us to do it, but that's it.
Yeah.
And we wanted a reason to take the family out and celebrate. So when we hit 1 million plays, we took all the kids and the husbands out to a fancy restaurant, and that was fun.
And we got balloons. We got 7 balloons.
Balloons and cupcakes.
A 1, a 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.
Yeah.
This side. Yes.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, that's amazing. No, that must have been kind of like affirmation that you guys are right where you're meant to be, right? Because shoot, God is opening your doors. So, okay, speaking about God's work, guys, I know that you guys are doing God's calling on your life, right? And I think that we're the hands and feet, and the work that he has on us, it's, is kind of like what he has called us to do. So I'm just glad that you guys stepped out, took a leap of faith, and started to do what God has called you all to do. Now, this is a question for other entrepreneurs that are in the journey. Where were the God winks? How did you guys figure it out? Like, was there like this big moment that you guys were like, OMG, we got something right here?
I think we're big advocates of asking. So I remember a pastor telling me one time, don't be afraid of asking very specific things of God. Whether, just being very specific when you ask a question or when you're asking for a blessing. But then also the other half of that is that you have to listen. You have to be quiet enough and silent enough and still enough to be able to listen. And I believe in the times that we asked individually, like where were we supposed to be going? What was the direction of our lives? What did we need to do to make that all happen? We were quiet, and he really, really spoke.
Yeah, I mean, the first one is I had moved away for a little while. We were military, and Vanessa was working as a teacher, not loving it at the moment, and
was not loving the red tape.
Yeah, well, I'll let you tell that part of the story. So, well, no, I mean, you tell it better. But anyway, it's just a God wink. And so, anyway, she was trying to see and prayerfully ask God what's next. And what she would do differently. And at that time, I happened to text her out of the blue and say, hey, I got my financial coach certification. You need to get yours. I'm moving back. We're going to do this together. And those are the kind of moments that if it's both sides. You have to be asking, and you have to be taking action based on where you felt led, right? And so those things married together end up where you're at here now. And I would say the other thing is we have had some rock bottom moments. And, the only thing to do then is throw up your hands or just continue to just ask God to lead you and guide you. And as we've listened, when we actually listen, Linda, like let your listeners hear that. When we're not stubborn and trying to do it our own way and in our own strength and our own ideas, when we're listening and doing what we have been called to do, God has just shown up and when you're talking about $1 million, we went from like 4,000 to what was it the next year? Like 304,000, like in a year of a place. That came from listening and niching down and being specific and, doing that. And I would say even more, Linda, recently this year. So when Vanessa was talking about because we're all moms on this podcast. This year, before when we were doing December and planning our year out, we were like, look, there is no extra minutes. Whereas before when the kids were little, we could kind of manipulate doing extra work or doing extra things. That's no longer. We have 2 17-year-olds, a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 10-year-old between us, right? There's a lot going on and there's no give. So we said this year, okay, we're going to steady. We're just going to go steady. We're not going to have any growth goals because there's not a lot of extra room. We do 3 podcasts a week, right? And we have coaching clients. We do a lot. That's all there can be. There's not any big things that we're gonna reach for. We're gonna do that so we can be present with our kids and our family. Well, our business has doubled this year. Yeah,
in a steady year.
Yeah, in our year to be steady because hopefully we believe like we're honoring this life that God has given us and trying our hardest to do both callings, right? Because obviously raising up these kids is our highest calling, and so we're trying to balance it. And look at what God has done. Like we're like,
and He's really given us the best guests like to speak to. He's given us the best clients. He's put the most amazing people in our path to have relationships and partnership with and guide us like coaches and different things like that. So it's been such a blessing. And I remember when Shana said we hit rock bottom, we really hit rock bottom one time whereas we really thought it was not over, but in that moment it felt like, well, what are we going to do? And we were sitting in CBS, which is a Bible study like close to us. And we were just bawling. And these women were just had their hands over us, praying over us because it was so hurtful. But it was a door that God needed to close so we would stop being stubborn and we would stop relying on what we thought we should do and really take up what He originally told us to do, but we were just being super sidetracked.
Those moments of hitting rock bottom, and thank you so much for sharing that. Can you share about it or no?
Yeah. So we were in a local building close here. And when we talk about we had one business with 5 departments, we were doing personal training. We were doing home organization. We did life coaching. We did fitness coaching and we did financial coaching. Yeah. That's
living it.
5 different things that we were doing. And we were in a building because according to us, we had to be in a building to do all that stuff. Okay. It's fine. So what God happened to me before. We got evicted.
Like I needed an office.
Oh yeah. But we got evicted from that building.
Like super random.
Yeah. Like a certified letter, like evicted. It was so official
and random. And like we were
so just hurtful.
Yeah.
And so anyways, we say all that to say that I'm
not done yet. Okay. Because that was just one.
He wants to keep reliving it.
Rock bottom moments because I was thinking, gosh, because it all makes sense in the moment and it really does sound so silly afterwards. Yeah. But one time when we were doing home organization, because that fits into that's not a separate business, it's the same business, don't worry. On the same day, the same job, I should say, I had a bank of money. Of coins, like a bank of coins, fall on me, on my head. I'm not sure I didn't get a concussion, and like it was really painful. And then it like kept pouring, and so it was just like a long moment of awfulness. And then Vanessa had a mirror, or was it window or mirror? A mirror fall
the corner of a mirror
on her head, and she's bleeding from the scalp. And you think in those moments we'll be like, "What are we doing? What are we doing with our lives?" Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
We're gonna keep going.
We're gonna keep going. going, we gotta like, and when we say God has to slam the door in our face, that was true. I feel like we're much more, we're much more perceptive now to where He's guiding us. But so that's a bad moment, and I just want to share these because we praise God, we are doing really well right now, and it's allowing us to love our business and be able to do our life, the lifestyle to which we are accustomed. But I do want to say, right before we figured this out, we had a month where we got zero. December, we have 3 December babies between the two of us. Okay. In the month of December, we didn't get a paycheck at all. After what, 2-3 years of business?
Yeah. And I think we got barely one in January or December or November. Like it was really hard because of the trajectory that we were going and what we were paying for.
Yeah.
We didn't get a paycheck.
And so, but we did, like, that was actually part of the turning point. That's another like kind of rock bottom moment. And by that April, we had that's when we got the clarity, right? To do what we're doing now, which is just grown up month after month.
I will say though, we have really great work ethic, right? So we're very hard workers. And I think for us, it's not necessarily that we were trying to defy God and not do what He told us to do. But in our mind, we were like, well, we're doing the hard work. We're moving, right? Because we always talk about He can't move a parked car, but He can move one that's in neutral. And so He can steer you in the right direction as long as you're moving. So in our eyes, we were like, well, we're doing the work. Why is it not working? But it just wasn't the right work. It wasn't what He originally told us to do. And, instead of back then, we were a life coaching studio, which encompassed all of that stuff instead of just financial coaches.
That's fine.
You know what? In those moments, we all have those moments and that's what momentum allows for is kind of like teachable moments that God is actively teaching us. And I will say that I guess it's almost like if it hits you over the head, you wouldn't even know it, right?
Yeah, apparently. That's fine.
That's
Well, you
true.
guys did though, because you guys started to pivot. Like, you know what? Those moments we got hit over the head. But it's funny now because, hindsight is 2020 and we can learn from those. But it also makes you guys super cool in the fact that you've been through it. You have a story. You get what I'm saying? Like you saw what you were doing wrong. You're seasoned, right? You got that seasoning, right? Old wineskins and new wineskins, right? You can't pour new wine in old wineskins. The information that you have has matured into an amazing type of wine that people can indulge in. And that's where it led to that 1 million, right? Because you were actively doing the work. You were actively listening to God's hand. You were actively acknowledging where He was like placing you. And okay, now we understand the subtle signs that God is saying like, hey, maybe you guys should pivot, right? So thank you so much for sharing those stories because I feel as though we all go through it. Like I've gone through it, I'm in a certain pivot seasons. Once I started being more in depth, like every time when I want to deviate away from bundles and summit, because that's where I'm going in and really honing my skills in, that's when God like sends someone like to not let me steer away from it. So I just love that He pulls a Jonah on us, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Can I just share this meme with your friends, with all of our friends? It is, have you seen these ridiculous memes, get in loser? But it's a picture of Jonah and the whale. And it's like, get in loser, we're going to do God's will. And it's like, sometimes you have to be Jonah in order to go do what God was trying to do. And we're fine with that. In fact, that's maybe my favorite way because I might be too stubborn to do it otherwise. The other thing I hope that, we don't want to toot our own horns because this is like a dime a dozen, probably this kind of story. But what we know is, and Vanessa will say it all the time, there was no plan B. This was it. We were in it. And being persistent as an entrepreneur is probably the most important thing that you can do. Stick with it. Don't give up. Don't stop because it gets hard. That's what everybody else does. But if you want your business to win and to be, something that you can do for the long haul, then you have to not give up.
I think that's a really good point. And I forgot I used to say that. We haven't talked about this story in a while, but it was important to us. I remember people asking, well, what are you going to do if it doesn't work? I'm like, that's not an option. We are literally called. I can feel it. I know. And again, we have the God story of me asking and God having her text me. But this was what we were supposed to be doing. That was not up for discussion. And so it was going to work. And having no plan B forced you to be all in for plan A and not do half of plan A or like go halfway in and have one foot always like tipping out of the water, right? It's like you always have one foot out. That's what it feels like when you have a plan B instead of just having both feet in and being present and doing the hard work there. Because, we have people who ask us, well, should I get another side hustle? Should I do well, if you focus on the one job and you're able to get overtime in the one job and do the one thing, or even business owners, well, should I get another business to help fund this business? No, go all in on this business. Go do as much as you can here and don't worry about doing anything else.
Power moves. I am in absolute agreement with you all. Like, it's the truth. I'm seeing it in my own business. Like I said, I'm finally, I took it from a crossroads. I'm like, where do I fit? That was always kind of like the question that I had. Where do my unique talents, unique giftings, where do they fit? And I know if I have those questions, our listeners have those questions as well as they're moving towards and pursuing their goals. So let's talk a little bit about money and money talks and takeaways. So what's the biggest money mistake you see women making again and again? I mean, there's so many things I want to talk to y'all about, but we're going to keep it streamlined.
Yes. Well, definitely, I think the biggest problem is people, women think that they have a spending problem or they're bad with money. And really, it's a lack of organization problem. That's really all it is. And they have everything that they're doing with their money coming out of one account, which sounds like it makes sense. That's what you were taught when you were 16 or 18, but that's the problem. And that's really where all the problems stem from.
Well, and there's just a lot of shame around finances. So they just, like Shana said, they think that they're bad with money. They think they can't budget. They think budgeting isn't their thing. And we believe, honestly, it's because there's been this weird way how they were taught how to do a budget. Like, and we just don't think that it was the right way. So after us coming in and teaching budgeting the way that we teach it, it's a no-brainer to us. And all of our clients, all of our listeners, everyone who has our system, they're like, this is the best thing that's happened to me because I know exactly what's happening with my money. I can see it. It's easy. It's organized. It's automated versus what they were taught to do before. And no wonder why they weren't successful, because most of the time back then, not only was it hard and unclear, but they were being taught to track all of their expenses. Like, who wants to track every single thing that they spend in a month? That is not a budget.
We don't have time for that.
Congratulations, you've graduated to an accountant. Like, nobody has time for that.
Yeah, and that's definitely what we see. And women just need to have the permission to use these modern tools. Well, first of all, a lot of times women shame themselves that they don't already know but nobody taught you, like Vanessa said, nobody ever taught you. So let's just let go of that.
Yeah.
And now take the moment to learn it. But also it's way more complicated. Everything is way more complicated today than it ever was. There's way more bills you got going on. There's way more ways to pay things. There's way more access to debt that kind of makes things, there's so many subscriptions. It's really complicated. So that's what we're saying. Disorganization. So organize it, use our system, organize. It's very clear. And basically our system, in a nutshell, is a cash envelope system that's digital, that you're using your bank as your personal assistant, because not only can you organize it like cash envelopes digitally, but also it can be automated. Everything can be automated so that you can go back, like we said before, and do your life, do your mompreneur thing, do your mom thing. And you don't need to be stressing or spending a lot of time tracking or budgeting. Like, nobody has time for that.
Automation, you guys are speaking my love language.
Yes, girl.
I love automations.
Can you imagine having a budget that's simple? So we talked about our 5-column simple budget on one page, having something that's separated, right? So you're simplified. We have it separated into if it's spending or savings or a bill, and then you have it all automated. So you don't have to do anything once you set it up, right? So that's where we want to get you in your life, because the reality is you don't have time to do anything else. Yeah. We are very busy, whether you're a full-time mom and you don't have a business, or you have a business and now you're double busy and you're trying to be a good steward and in your community, right? And have friends and be active in church, and then be a good wife, be a good mom, be a good business owner. Nobody has time to sit there and track your money, in your bank account. We want it simple, we want it separate, and we want it automated for you.
Yeah. And the idea, we started with the separate pretty much only, really, Linda. And then we added the automations once we learned, and we know all the tools that your bank can do for you that you maybe haven't found out about yet. But we learned the more you were relying on you love you, not you specifically, Linda, the general you, the more you're going to mess it up. Because this is what happens. Like, we'll have a client that doesn't have it automated yet. Well, I was supposed to make the transfers, but then I had the PTA meeting, and then we had soccer practice after, and then I had to find something for dinner, and then I had to put them in the bath and put them in the bed. And then I woke up the next day and I forgot that I didn't have the money, and I messed it all up because they didn't do it, right? So we're not gonna wait for you to have time. We're gonna set it up once and then let it run on its own. It's kind of like when you set a goal in January to get fit, right? And you're like, I have to go to the gym on January 1st, and then I have to go to the gym on January 2nd, and then I have to go to the gym on January 3rd.
Rude.
And then you're relying on your willpower. Here with our system, you set it up once and it goes to the gym for you. Basically, it's your budget is just happening. Money is going into your spending accounts, money is going into your savings account, automatically bills being paid, everything, our thing. So you just got to be a good girl one time and set it up. And then you don't have to go back to the gym ever again because it's doing it all for you.
I mean, that sounds like a dream. All right.
Yeah.
I was like, it's impossible. Right. It sounds like, what? You know, where do I sign up?
You're going to have to find something else to do besides stress about money. Like, you're going to have to add literally anything else, add it to your calendar.
We had a client one time. She was like, every Saturday morning, all I did was sit on my back porch with my coffee and stress about all of my finances. And once we got her set up and going, and she was like, what do I do on Saturday mornings now? I'm like, anything else. Go for a walk, go play with your dog, go, I don't know, go get a hobby, like go walk to the beach, do anything. But and so that, I think it was so freeing for her because she realized that part of her life, her schedule that she had set in on Saturday mornings to sit there and do nothing but stress about finances before she started her weekend with her kids didn't have to happen anymore. Like, she could literally start her weekends now refreshed and rejuvenated because this wasn't a thing.
Yeah. What does God's word say? It says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. These are things that you guys are talking about that we don't know. But if we come in, and this is why I host bundles and summits, because it's bringing people together, sharing their expertise, because you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And so I love that you guys are sharing your stories, especially for our audience, and kind of like what's possible. Like, speak with your bank. You know, it does feel a bit overwhelming, like going to the bank. Yeah, I want to, you know, and going to the teller and saying you need a meeting, and then, you know, having to, I don't even know the process.
It's done all online.
Yeah.
No way.
All online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Online, also another love language. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I Instacart it up.
All of it, all of the automations and not having to go into the bank physically. Love it. Here for it.
Well, you know what? We think we can do it all. You know, my husband is out of town, but in the moment that he's like out of town, I just see kind of like the bulk of like, wow, you know, of like all that we do, but we can't run like that. We can't run in doing it all because you're going to reach a level of burnout if you don't allocate.
Yeah.
And I think if we think that we can do it all in the budget, we're going to burn ourselves out.
Yeah.
Thinking that we can just do it. Oh, no, I got all the percentages in my mind come tax season. And then we're like scrambling.
No, yeah. And, you know, and as we wrap up, Linda, I just want to give a quick story about one of our clients. She started off her first session. She came with a bottle of wine. I'm not going to lie. She was so anxious and did not want to look at her numbers and just all of that. She was like, this is the worst thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Even though she signed up to do it. It's fine. So then you fast forward, you know, a year later, after she's been coaching, after she's got her system set up, and her husband was diagnosed with cancer, which is obviously very sad. And she told me while he was going through treatment over the summer, she never once had to worry about her budget. She never once had to look at the money. She never once had any of that going on. She just was able to focus on him, and the budget ran itself. And that just reminded me what you're saying is no matter what, life is going to life. And so let's let this not only not be a source of stress, but not have to be a source of time that you're jumping in, because there's so many more things, so many more precious moments that you want to be present for. And so just getting your finances in order, setting up the system, it's definitely going to be worth it.
Well, just imagine that not being a reason that you're stressed out. Like there's, like Shana said, there's so many other things that life is going to throw at you. Imagine your finances not being one of them that you have to worry about.
I love that. Imagine your finances being something you don't have to worry about. And especially that's been worry for a lot of people.
Sure.
Vanessa, Shana, budget besties, my new budget besties. Where can people find you?
Well, head over to Financial Coaching for Women. That is our podcast. So you can find a ton of free resources there. It's on any podcast platform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you guys can always check us out on our website. We're not that big on social media, but on our website, budgetbesties.com/budget, that's where you can find out about our the budget system we were talking about. But if you want, we have a boot camp actually coming up, Linda. So that is coming up at the end of the year because we know you're busy now. We know like maybe right now you're trying to just buy Christmas presents. You don't really want to look at the budget. Love you. Understand. So right after Christmas, right as we're beginning the new year, we will have a boot camp. We will talk about this. We will walk you through it. We will help you so that you can start the new year fresh and ready to go. And you can go to budgetbesties.com/bootcamp to find out about that. And thank you for letting us say that.
Yes, thank you, ladies.